Bear River Recreation Area, that's top level fun for me.
Totally, me too. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. That was about as much fun of whitewater rafting as I think you could have. Well, you talked about it being a Class 3 rapids, which I don't technically know what that means.
I don't know how that's scored either. If it's like, gallons per second that go over it, if it's the size of the drops or whatever it is that classifies it. I don't even care. For me, that's legitimately all I could handle as far as my experience of being in fast moving water. I think that for me, the Ducky was the right choice for riding on that thing today.
For sure. And renting the Duckies that we did was great for not knowing what we were really getting into.
Yeah.
Like, they were super stable, they were comfortable. It was perfect. If you've ever sat in a kayak, everything was pretty intuitive. Once you got into that rapids, it wasn't like it was, oh, this thing's trying to kill me or flip me over, or I got the wrong boat. This is not what I should be doing, or I should be more advanced in order to do this. That was perfect for a beginner.
Did you find, you were in boat the whole time, you never got dumped, right?
Never got dumped.
I got dumped one time. And it was a mistake on my part. And it just like with mountain biking, as soon as, when you're mountain biking, you're always looking ahead, trying to like guess your next line that you're going to be in.
Yep.
And I made the mistake of, I looked down because I had a GoPro on my chest. And as soon as I looked down, I was done. I got turned sideways and I got dropped into the water. And what they've said in this thing is that it is a improved bottom in order to improve the whitewater, which they did things that they can to make a safer experience. I don't think you could call it safe because it is fast moving water where things can happen, but they did it where they graded the bottom enough to where there isn't like big holes that you could potentially be in trouble if you got like stuck
into.
So in our crew, anybody that got dumped, I would say that the benefit of this being about, I think it said like a quarter mile of rapids, is that if you're dumped and you lose all of your faculties, it's getting kicked out into the harbor and you're going to be out of the rapids within, a shorter amount of time than if you lost your boat and it was just 2 hours down the road that you had to go and find that thing. So I'd say that the intensity of it was quite high, but the shorter duration was actually a little bit of a benefit as far as me learning how to do this.
Definitely. And I don't know what the lead up technical difference or the distance was to lead up to the rapids, but there was a nice little paddle all the way up to there where there was a couple fun little like, ooh, we're in a little bit of whitewash, and that was cool and fun, and it was still moving water. It wasn't like it was just stagnant water. Like, you still had fun. We were spinning around and kind of getting a feel for the Duckies and kind of getting a feel for what we were going to experience, and then got a little trial couple runs. And then when I remember coming around that one corner, it's like, well, here are the rapids, and I just didn't realize it was the rapids the rest of the way.
So this was my idea. Be honest, after we hit those first like 2 fast moving waters, were you kind of like, why did we put this much effort into getting out here? Or did you think it was going to get more intense?
No, it was actually, so when we hit that first little bit, we went around the first corner after we got in the rapids, and I saw just more.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like this, like I did like a look back and there was no one there, and I'm like, well, we're in it. Like, this could be a problem if we're like not careful about it. It was a thrill, and it wasn't easy. Like, I was working hard paddling, trying to keep things straight and not dive down or hit a rock or something like that you could see, like, or get spun out into the bushes or something like that.
Yeah, we were able to complete the 3 passes through the whitewater section, and I felt like I had completely different rapids every single time. And I don't know if it, 2 or 3 feet to the left or 2 or 3 feet to the right gives you a completely new experience, but I was having fun in different spots each time, and I was having troubles in different spots each time, which added to my fun personally.
Totally. And that's where I think as we kind of got into first run was just him hanging on and just seeing where this takes me.
Yeah.
I'll try to paddle to stay centered, but that's all I was really trying to do. The second run, I'm like, well, okay, now I get it, and I get how long it is, so how long of amount of effort I need to put into it.
Yeah.
So the second run, I aimed for more of those ditches and then troughs.
Yeah.
And which turns out that's where the rocks are. That's obvious now thinking about it, but in the moment it's like, oh, that kind of looks like a little jump, or something that you can, have a little more fun on. But then of course I just bounced off rocks 10 times harder.
Yeah.
The first run.
Reading the grading of what's happening under the water, I think, is a skill that I don't possess.
Yeah.
So I was kind of on the roller coaster the whole time.
Totally.
And sometimes the roller coaster hit the brakes on me.
Well, in our third run, when you got caught up on that rock,
Yeah.
and you sat there for a while, that I got caught up on that one on the second and the third. And when I was coming up to it, it looked like a nice drop. And then on the third one, I'm like, oh no, that's that rock. And then I hit it and kind of stuck there and then spun out.
I figured that one out after, because you called it as I was coming down. You're like, that's the rock, you're gonna get stuck on it. So I actually spun the nose of it around and I put my nose on the rock, and then that was an eddy in the back. So even after everybody went by, I was able to sit there, and you could have, I wouldn't say it was surfing, but the water was swirling around me and it could have kept me there if I wanted to pin, even if I wasn't stuck on that rock. So that's something that I learned about it.
That's cool.
What's one thing that you learned by doing it today that you would either bring, change, or do differently the second time?
Well, so the last run I rode in one of your the ducky version of what you brought.
Yeah.
And even comparing that to I mean, trying to get in that thing was like just trying to get wedged into an inflatable tube.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you fit in it, because I barely fit in it.
My second boat that I had, I would say that my setup was adequate, but less than ideal.
Less than ideal is probably the right term. Okay, so when you were riding in the red raft,
Yeah.
was that filling entirely full of water for you too?
Yep, I was riding in a bathtub.
Okay. So for me, it didn't pinch me quite enough, because when it filled up with the bathtub, I was buoyant enough that I was like just trying to whoop out the front. So like I was in a constant battle of like pushing back into the seat, and it just kind of kept wanting to like spit me out the front.
Yeah.
On the water.
I think that Bahnhof does a good job of, they knew exactly what you needed. That was the cool thing, is you called the day before, you said, hey, can they be set up?
So having the rentals was actually really nice.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of more of a confidence in those duckies. The second run that I had with the rental ducky was the one that like, okay, I'm gonna try to go for it now and really push this thing, which whatever that means.
Yeah.
But
yeah, right.
On one of the big drops that we had, I nosed that thing in so hard that I was completely underwater with the boat. We were all underwater together for a period of time, and that was a blast. I mean, the water temp was great.
Yeah.
So like it was a nice warm day out. It's a warm hike back up to drop in just for the White Rapids part. So having some nice cooler water was like, I was all for, like, please, like, dump me in the water. Well, yeah, the protection level of just having something over your skin definitely needed. Wearing a helmet definitely needed. Like, I wouldn't want to do that without one. Just if you smack your head off a rock in that speed of water, it's still going to be a bad time, and a serious injury could happen. So,
and even though I didn't hit my head on anything under the water, I used it a few times with the sticks and branches, where I just ducked down and I just took the branches, like not like a tree branch across the face, but like the sticks and stuff that were hanging down, because I wasn't on the right line the whole time. So when I made a mistake, I was glad I had it on, because that would have, again, either took your hat off your head or scratched your head. So
for sure,
that was good. So overall, would you do it again, or would you say that it was fun, but I've had enough?
I think that's something, like, just to go to the rapids part of it.
Yeah.
I would want to do that like 3 times a year.
Yep.
One, if it's possible to go at first water break, where everything is still snow, like I don't care about that. We'll gear up, do all that jazz. But when the runoff is starting to happen and you have the most amount of water, most amount of rapids, like, get it in its best, the most amount of rapids it's possible to have. I would definitely want to go then. I'd go again, probably like we did today.
Yep.
After it rained for the last couple, it's been raining up north quite a bit, so they have a fair amount of runoff now. So like, it was good for a low water level time of season. And yeah, if there's a third time that the water levels are good, whatever, get rain for a week straight or something like that, I'd run back up just to do that. I had a funny moment when I was carrying out the second time, was like, yeah, to go upstream is uphill. That's what makes rapids.
I had the same thought. Why did I not think that was going to be a thing?
Of course it is, right? Like,
yeah.
So as we're like hiking up, I'm like, this is uphill the whole way. Like, duh.
Yeah.
Of course it is. but yeah, having to hike them up as far as it was. Not that I mean, to be fair, I wasn't that winded. It was just, it's a hike.
Yeah.
So you're kind of rucking up the hill and carrying stuff. It's not like it's not a workout.
I think that you could even get away with, say, 4 or 5 people and then 2 or 3 boats, and everybody then the boats would be going all day and no one would get tired. You'd have 2 people go, you could stand on the bridges and watch everybody else go down, food and everything going at the bottom. So you could just make it more of a hangout day and take runs throughout the day. Because we did 3 today, but I think that if we could have taken a 2-hour break, I probably would have been happy with at least 2 more, but probably 3 more. Like I could have probably made that a full day.
Yeah, for sure.